Hi there. In this video I'm going to do a review on this cordless screwdriver or cordless drill, depending how you want to call it, from EINHELL. And yes, I do not know how to correctly pronounce this thing, so there's that. Many company names have a specific pronunciation depending on the original country, and this should be from Germany, so EINHELL, maybe. Anyway, that's that. You know what I'm talking about anyway. So this thing, I consider this is just for home use, hobby use. I don't see this as a professional tool. You could potentially use this in a professional way if by nature you are quite careful with your tools. If you are a bit negligent and throw them all around, overuse them, I don't think this kind of tool is for you. But for home use, I've used this brand in the past. Awesome. So there's that. This particular model, TE-CD 18 LIE Solo. That's a mouthful. And I decided to buy the Solo variant that obviously does not come with the battery, because I bought another battery separately that actually works for more of the tools. I got a bunch of tools. Normally this thing would come, I think, with a smaller battery, and I decided to go directly with a bit bigger one. And when I added the numbers, I actually got this thing cheaper if I got it in the Solo variant and with a separate battery, because I had a really good deal on the battery. So yeah, if it's better, if cheaper at the same time, obviously why not. So this thing obviously at 18 volts, the name says it. This whole lineup with Power X charge, it's at 18 volts as far as I know. This thing has electronic torque adjustment, that thing right there. It has quite a high Newton meter value, so it's quite beefy when tightening stuff. Yes, obviously you can also drill holes with it, because it has 2 gears, which means, let me see, 2 speeds right here, which I really wanted. So I can also drill holes with this thing quite easily. Many of them actually have a quite low maximum speed, so for drilling holes, not ideal. But this one, on the second speed, 1400, that's good for drilling holes. Yeah, obviously metal gears, which is good. It has a LED, so it helps you in a poorly lit condition. It's ergonomic, most of them actually are. This thing, the chuck on it, from the picture looks quite nice. We will see how it feels. And yes, the torque setting, which it seems to be electronic and not some mechanical slip, which will be interesting, because I'm used to that tick 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 sound from the mechanical ones. So I don't know how this will work, but probably it limits the current to the motor, so it just stalls when you are over a certain torque, which might be good or bad. We will see when I use this thing. And that's about that. Too much talking, let's get into the box of this thing. And yeah, thank you, company that sells this, not the manufacturer, the company that sold this to me, for a really bad packing job. Okay, first impression, even without the battery, this thing is quite heavy. Top part seems really heavy. Obviously there is where you have the motor and gears, but in this particular situation, honestly, I'm quite happy that it feels this sturdy. And when I will put the battery in, for sure it will be way more balanced and all should be good. And yeah, let's get rid of this label here. I will register it on EINHELL website, so I will get an edit year of warranty, which will take this to, I think, 3 years, at least in my country, which is quite good. And they seem to be a BMW i Motorsport official main partner now, which puts a bit of credibility behind this name. Although again, I have used this kind of brand tools, and they were for home use more than enough for me. Okay, if you want to put this thing, I think you can actually hang this on your work belt, or how exactly it's tool belt, how it's called, and it seems to be going on either side, so you can put it here or here, depending on how you want to hang this thing on your belt. So let me install that. I need a Phillips head screwdriver. Quickly browse through the manual. The most important thing, you can clamp onto maximum 13mm drill bits. And what else from this thing? It tells you what the LEDs on the battery actually mean on how charged the battery is. And I'm not really sure what else. Technical data. Yeah, here it will tell you about the battery that it should come with, and I actually bought one that's bigger. It's 2.5 amps mine, and normally if you don't buy the solo variant, it would come with a 2 amp battery. So that is why I bought the solo variant. It did not come with a battery, so I bought a bigger battery, a bit bigger, not by much, because if you buy a much bigger one, it will actually be much heavier. So yeah, there's that. Another really important thing from the manual: do not adjust anything on this while, yeah, just dropped something, while it is actually still moving. So you stop working with it and then, I don't know, adjust the direction or torque or gear from 1 to 2. Although I cannot do it with my left hand, so this is quite strong. Yeah, there's that. Manual aside, I will not read the whole of it because that would make things too simple. Played around with it for a bit. This thing seems sturdy, so they are correct on what they say there, that it's a sturdy chuck, but the sound that it makes overall, not that pleasant. So it could be a bit better greased, honestly, inside, in my opinion, but that's just me. And the thing that I don't like, it cannot hold on to 1mm drill bits. And I have, I think, some that are 1.2mm that I sometimes use for PCBs, and this can only go to 2mm. But that's because I wasn't careful when I bought it and I didn't realize this. But I still don't think it would have been a deal breaker. I will figure something out. We'll put something on those bits when I put them in here, and I will continue to use them. But my previous no name was actually able to hold on to those. So yep, that's the only downside up until now. Anyway, I'm going to unbox the other things, starting with the battery, so we can see how this thing actually works. Okay, battery is charged. Separate video for this will be linked in the description, also for that thing, also for that angle grinder. Anyway, let's plug it in and see. And I took a look on the chuck on this thing, and this goes up to 10mm, and I think it's a limiting factor. If it goes to 13 like this one, it cannot handle 1mm, so this goes only to 10 but can handle 1mm. So in the end, this is the better choice because it can do larger bits. So yeah, you cannot have both, sadly. And this is the thing that I'm actually replacing. And yes, this is a nickel based, I think, battery in this thing. Is it? Yeah, 1.2 amp. And as you can see, brand is budget, and I've used this thing 10 years maybe. And if you take care of them, they do last in conditions of home use, not professional. Again, this thing is still working after 10 years or making a bit of noise, but still working. And yeah, I was lucky and got really good batteries with this thing. 10 years for this battery pack, and it almost does not discharge by itself, which is huge. This thing, yeah, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. But hey, again, what I want to tell you, even cheap tools can last a long time if you take care of them when you use them, and you do not work with them every single day. Once again. So yeah, cannot close this on video, it seems. Let's continue with this, and this will be parked. Thank you for so much use. And yeah, it seems this goes from 0.8 to 10 millimeters, the chuck on it. Okay, this is the release mechanism for the battery. As you can see it, this is where it shows you the charge with this button. And let's plug it into this thing. Yeah, it has a good feel when it latches in place, doesn't wiggle around. To get it out, obviously push on this and yank it out, and that's that. And yes, it's much more balanced, but keep in mind this particular model, it's a bit heavy, and it's for heavier use. So if you want something really light, there are cheaper models than this, which don't have 2 speeds, have a weaker battery, for example, only 1.5 amps. Yes, I bought the Solo for this thing, so I bought separately the battery, but you can have a better deal, a cheaper deal, not better necessarily, with a weaker tool. But I decided to buy a sturdy one, so there's that. And yes, anything that you can change, do it only when this thing is not working. Ooh, and it has a really nice and satisfying soft start. So I go directly to the max, but it starts up slowly. Ooh, that's nice. When you are using it as a drill bit, go to this, so it gives you the maximum possible torque. And then it doesn't have the soft start. Goes directly to max. Let's go to 8. Yep, soft start. So for putting in screws, it uses a soft start, which is awesome. So let's go to drill bit, and yeah, this moves quite hard, so not sure if I can do it with one hand. Okay, I managed to do it. Ooh, okay. Yep, I like this. I really do. And the LED is automatic. When you start it, it lights up. There is nothing you can do about it. And yes, it has speed control. And let's see, in the lower speed, that only goes to 400 RPM. Yeah, you can go really slow. I think this is the slowest that it can actually go. Yeah, this is the slowest. Okay, I like it, it's good. It's really good. Now let me try and see if somehow I can hold on to this thing and see how it goes. Yeah, let's change the direction and see how it... Yep, cannot hold on to it. I need another hand. Okay, so this has a different system to what I'm used to. This will actually see the load on the motor itself, and depending on where you set it, it will allow the motor to draw more or less current. So if you set it to lowest, you will see that I will hold it stopped. It will try to spin up to a certain force, and then it will stop. Okay, that's the maximum. We have reached it. The screw is tight. Done. You know the old ones that you would just click, 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 click. to limit mechanically the force. This limits the force electronically. Yep, and that was the maximum. Maximum stopped. So, yep, it's another way to do the same thing, and I think I prefer this one because you have less chances to strip the end of a screw. Or at least this is what I think at the moment. After I will use it for a while, I will see if I still like it or not. But yeah, I will tell you that later, because at this point I will start to use this thing, and after I have used it for a while and made an opinion about it, I will get back to you and tell you if I like it or not. And the motor itself, I can tell you for sure from now on, it's almost as thick as the whole thing, which is much bigger compared to this one, which basically has a toy motor in it, but it still worked for almost 15 years. So yeah, this should work more if the gears itself are okay and if the electronics is good, because this relies much more on electronics compared to the old one. So yep, let's put it to good use. And yeah, the tip of the chuck itself does not wobble around at all. It's quite sturdy in here. I'm moving the whole thing a bit now. So it's, let me try and hold this and just move the tip of it. I cannot, I'm moving the whole thing. And when it's powered again, it does not wobble. Probably it will be quite hard. Just look at the tip, not at the plastic. Yeah, my camera will focus on anything else. That's quite good. My old one was wobbling all over the place, but it was quite worn, so that makes sense, and it was quite low quality. This actually seems to be good, so I like that. Again, let's put it to work, and I hope I will remember to film when I'm working with it, and obviously at the end of this video will give you a full impression and review of this. Also, just want to add, my plan is to replace with this also this one, which was used for drilling because it had a much higher RPM. Yes, this was about, let's see how much, 2600, so much higher even than this one, but 1400, it's still usable for drilling, and I don't have all these cables anymore. And yep, this thing probably again has over 10 years, the same brand, so I stick to them, because if you take care of your tools, they do work for a long time. I had nothing break. Actually, I'm lying, sorry, I had one that was battery powered, so something similar to this. I left it in the cold one winter, and in that winter the cells inside the battery were damaged by the cold. But that was my fault, so nothing to do with the brand or the tool itself. I try to forget about that incident because I was just stupid and it was my fault. So yeah, there's that. Let's put this to use once again. Okay, so some time later, maybe you remember that this thing only takes from 2 millimeters and up, and I do have these things which are 1.2 millimeters. So I bought this thing, which is already opened up by me because I really wanted to see how it looks like when I got it and how it feels. Voltcraft is the brand, and this thing, as you can see, goes from 0.5 millimeters up to 6.5, which is perfect. So let's get this little thing out. Tiny little guy, and this is perfect. So when I need to use a really small drill, wrong direction, I get this in here. As you can see, there is no wobble or something like that. Let me try and hold it. quite good. And this is able to take these tiny drills, tiny bits actually, without any issues. Get in there. Tiniest wobble can be seen maybe right at the very tip. But yeah, nothing to write home about. And now I have everything that I could ever need in this one single tool. So let's start working with it and continue this video. Okay, so I've been using this thing a whole lot on these really long screws in concrete, obviously. As you can see, it's quite able to tighten them. And this is the initial charge, and I still have about 30%. Did all of these and all of these things. This is of course temporary because, as you can see, this is a work site and still have a charge. This thing is working perfectly, and I did not even use the battery only for it. I used it even for a rotary hammer that actually can drill into concrete. Not for these holes because these are quite big, so the rotary hammer with this particular battery cannot drill holes as big as I used in here. But for other projects in this workspace, this thing is awesome for the moment. So I will continue to use it and report later. But up until now, this thing is really cool. Tiny bit of a scratch in here, so it took a bit of a bump, but hey, there's that. Let's continue. Okay, let's put this to work a bit more. Hopefully it can put this into the wall, because normally you should hammer it, but it got stuck right there. So I'm trying this. I have no idea if the tip is actually good for it. Yeah, you can see it's all worked. Yeah, I need to use my right hand because this is my left hand, but it seems to be able to be driving it into the wall. Got this stupid thing out, and we are not going to try and hammer them. As you can see, not really working. So put a good one in, and now it should work. That's what I'm talking about. So this is working perfectly once again. Okay, so working at the same time with both of these tools, I got another bigger Accu that I'm using on other tools, and I put it on that thingy, and lots of holes all around this thing. Everything worked as expected and perfectly. The only thing that I don't like is the electronic clutch on this. It's not sensitive enough, in my opinion. A mechanical clutch, it's more exact and doesn't have any delay. Yes, this works, but I prefer a mechanical one for the moment at least. But yeah, it works and you can use it, but it's not perfect. Another job for this thing, tightening those screws, which are really annoying to tighten by hand because they are on the ceiling and they are quite long. And I highly recommend you get one of these stepped drill bits. I think they are also called Christmas tree bits or something like that. When working with plastic, makes things much easier. Something else that I want to mention about this, the chuck itself is really good. I was used in my other drills to tighten the screw by just slightly pressing on the button to make this thing rotate, and me holding my hand against this. This will just tear up in your flesh if you do that. I did it and almost caused a friction burn on my hand. but somehow this is made that you tighten it with your hand. As you can see, it will not rotate. The mechanism somehow has a stop in it, so it will not rotate while you are trying to tighten. And then to release, so this is way tight, so it's not, the drill is not going to move anywhere. And to release, again, nothing that you need to do. The mechanism itself is blocking enough that it will release. So, and it feels really, really strong, and again, these things really grip on your hand. That's really good. This thing works even with bigger screws, as you can see here. And I want it to stop there. And the torque is set to 6. So it can tighten them fully if I want to. Just wanted to mention a big downside to this that I don't know if I mentioned up until now, and it's honestly extremely annoying. You don't have anywhere to put these things when, for example, you put a drill bit in to drill a hole or something, to just store this somewhere in here. There's no place. You put it somewhere and hope you don't forget where you put it, and that sucks. So they added this thing, but you don't have a storage for a tip. Yeah, really annoying. When using this thing on both speeds, with this type, with drills, with these things to drive things through, but this time I'm using both of them because one drills holes and one puts the screw in. Zero problems with it whatsoever. Doesn't drain the battery too fast. It's light enough. It would be nicer to be a bit lighter, but I'm not complaining anyway. The only two things that I can complain about: this weird noise, but nothing broke, so I'm using it as is. And the fact that the electronic clutch is a bit too slow to react, so yeah. But other than that, awesome tool, and I will use it without issues from now on. So that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and as always, see you in the next one. Bye.